It is my current goal to beat the game of Pokemon Yellow every single week in a solo challenge using all 151 Pokedex entries within the game, and this week we're taking a look at Seel. Just a funny little guy, silly little dude, big old belly, silly large tongue just kind of sticking out comically, some walrus tusks on him. Kind of has a little bit of a dog appearance just within the face in a very weird way. Again, I guess maybe kind of leaning on the walrusy side of things. And I don't really think that seals in real life necessarily look like dogs, but maybe they're kind of the dog of the sea. I don't know. If there's a chicken of the sea, surely there's a dog of the sea, and I suppose that would be a seal. And it obviously, I think, is much more elegant, maybe is the word for it, once it evolves into Dugong, but we're not looking at the evolved form today. We're only taking a look at this little baby right here. Look at him, silly little tail, silly little flippers, silly little tongue, just silly all around. What's also pretty silly is the move pool when you look at things too. We start off with Headbutt, and that's it for 25 levels. I mean, it's, oh boy, not great. And then you get Growl once you do get that next level, where you get a move rather, and then you get Aurora Beam at 35. By the time we get to level 35, I fear that's going to be far too little, far too late. Hopefully, by God, I certainly hope that we will be picking up the TM for Ice Beam instead of waiting to get to level 50 and getting that even before we get Aurora Beam. It would be helpful to also not have a move that's just a normal type move, because this water Pokemon does not learn any water type moves naturally. That's also a choice. We can get access to Water Gun, but of course it'll be after Brock, which is not going to be helpful. Only Headbutt to go up against a Rock-type gym is going to be something to behold. And there's a lot of other kind of regular type moves that you're going to notice. You're going to see things like your Rage, your Mimic, your Double Team, your Bide, Skull Bash. All of those make sense. Luckily, we do get access to one of the greatest moves in the game, and that is Body Slam. We will get that at SSN. And so between that and Ice Beam, that's pretty much most of this whole game. I mean, Surf is also going to be our main water type move, because not only is it a utility move, but it's also something that does quite a good amount of damage, and we'll get a same type attack bonus on it. One of the biggest problems that this Pokemon faces is just not a lot of power. Its special will be probably its only saving grace here at the end of the day, and even then it's not really all that great. It's really not all that, well, special. And the speed is fine. It's serviceable, I guess, at best. But we don't get any kind of access to any moves that are going to boost any of our stats. So having this base level Pokemon that is not really going to have a lot of type coverage at the end of the day, it's going to be a tough one. It's going to be a little bit of a slog, and I think that's just sort of par for the course with a lot of the Pokemon that typically you wouldn't see in the game until late game anyway. I think that's one of the main reasons why they don't really bother giving any moves before a certain level, because you're only going to find them in the wild at a certain level, right? So I think that does make sense, but then of course it makes things like this sort of challenge a lot more difficult, and so we're going to have to get pretty clever with how we operate with Seel. And honestly, it's kind of funny that I even say that, because we're kind of doing the exact opposite with this little first section of the game, right? We're spending a lot of time here. We're going to be absolutely grinding out level after level after level here within Viridian Forest before we get to Brock, because since we don't have access to any other moves until level 30, which I promise we're not going to grind out that many levels, but we need to basically have some form of, I don't know, oomph behind our hits, because we need an answer to the move of Bide. Bide is such a dangerous situation within this game. So we do go all the way up to level 20 before we get here, and I'm thinking that maybe it could do it at a level before that. I also think it probably would have been smart to actually leave, just heal up, get that 3 PP back, just because you never know. But we'll take it. We'll just immediately go through and make our way to Brock. Bide is where things are going to get dangerous, because it can just fully load up on all of the damage that I'm doing, and I have nothing to do that except for that flinch, which is actually pretty crucial. because I don't have anything to do to, well, bide my time during his bide. So luckily we can brute force our way through that fight and survive it, even with having to use struggle. Up next, we have our rival in Cerulean City. We actually probably could go through Misty, although the biggest problem is that she is going to boost her defense, and all that we can really do right now is use Headbutt, and our attack isn't necessarily amazing. So let's just start with Butt here, right? And he is luckily quite easy because for the most part, I can really just spam Water Gun and my special will carry us through this fight. So that one was very simple. And it's nice to see that for a little buddy like this, someone who maybe has that slower beginning. It's kind of nice to see the kind of simpler moments for those Pokemon, right? And speaking of simpler, we are now on to Misty's gym, where really it's pretty simple. It's just use Headbutt, right? It's kind of what got us through that first gym, but here it's happening again. Just Headbutt, 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 Headbutt. We're neutral to them, they're neutral to us with the water moves, so that's really kind of the only option that we have for this Pokemon. Now, going up against Misty, though, this is going to be tougher. Once again, should I have gone and healed the PP? I don't know. What I also definitely should have done is healed my Pokemon. I don't know why I didn't stop to think and use a potion, but we don't. And that's what gets us to this point in the fight where I am still using Headbutt and it's taking a minute. So eventually I swap over to Water Gun. Even though it's resisted, I'm getting the same type of attack bonus. My special is higher than my attack. Her defense was boosted. It just felt like maybe the right choice. And in the end, it works and pays off. We get Bubble Beam, we learn the move, and we then move on to the SS Anne. Now, here is where we make some interesting choices because originally I came in here saying, all right, we're not going to train up against every single trainer available. Here within the SSN, I don't think I need it. Then I remember that up next is Lieutenant Surge, so maybe I do need some extra levels. I don't know. I kind of waffle back and forth for a little bit. I do some of the obvious choices, like obviously here to pick up Body Slam. I also fought against that gentleman because I knew that he had Fire-type Pokemon. But eventually I end up deciding, well, you know what? Let's get that experience. Let's get that experience right now. Let's get it out of the way and let's get some extra levels here. So we spend a little bit more time than I normally would here within SS Anne. And finally, when we make it to Rival 3, we have leveled up 3 times here and we have made it to level 32. We'll be leaving here just shy of 33. And, you know, in other games, in other rounds rather, previous videos, I have at times chosen to not do Lieutenant Surge immediately. Sometimes when I go, well, I've got a bird or a water Pokemon, let's come back to him a little bit later when we're at a much higher level and we definitely will outspeed. But I was feeling generous, so I thought I'll hand him a win. And then Bubble Beam dropped his speed and I won. Okay, man. Just use Thunderbolt for crying out loud. Then, after one incompetent player, we think, well, why not go up against 2 with 3 Pokemon this time instead of just 1 Pokemon that never uses the right move? And let me tell you, these guys aren't super effective against me, so it doesn't matter if they throw or do their best ability, they will be, in fact, blasting off again. Then we can go up against their boss, Giovanni. This is one of those things where, depending on the video that you're watching, sometimes I skip this section, sometimes I don't. But one of the nice things is that when you know it's going to be easy experience and you can kind of just fly through it, sometimes it's kind of nice to go through this area. We don't add a lot of time here. In fact, we spend way more time in Rock Tunnel than we ever do here. So luckily, after one little fight, we don't have to get scared. We can actually go pick up the Silph and find what is in there. Okay, and admittedly, I really thought that that rhyme and that little moment was going to go so hard because usually I pick up the Silph and then I immediately go to the Lavender Town to go into the Pokemon Tower. And instead, I remembered that I hadn't done Celadon City Gym, so I came here instead. A little embarrassing on my part, but sometimes the things are so much fun that I'm like, just leave it in. People might enjoy it. What they also might enjoy is that usually I do a fun and cute and clever little cut around in this little section to show kind of how quick it is. But today, probably more so than ever, this is even faster because with Aurora Beam and Ice Beam, we have an answer for everybody. Yes, I did put it to 2x speed just so it'll fit quickly, but we get to Erica in lightning speed. We are so ready for it. I also continue to hold my auto trigger on Aurora Beam on accident for a second there. Sorry about that one, but it doesn't matter because 1, 2, 3 Ice Beams and we are through with this badge as well. This is good. We are picking up some speed. So maybe Seel is on the mend. And speaking of mends, Rival 4 is here to make amends with some Pokemon. I'm a firm believer in the conspiracy theory that, hey, you never see his Rattata ever again. And maybe that's what he is here paying his respects to. I don't know. Maybe we're a monster. Do you believe in this theory? I don't know. He does also straight up say, what are you doing here? Is your Pokemon dead? Like, it kind of feels like someone kind of lashing out because he's hurting. Sorry, but... Then up next we have Fuchsia City. We did unfortunately waste a little bit of time in the part where I did forget to pick up the HM for Fly. And I figured that out after I got all the way down to Fuchsia City, so in a very embarrassing bike ride back up the hill, making eye contact with all the people that I beat on my way down, I had to then go all the way back up, pick up the move, then fly back to where I just was. So, you know, that's kind of how that day was going for me. But it doesn't really matter because it only added a couple of minutes of time, and I still think that we're doing pretty good on picking up the speed here with Seel. We're also already almost to level 50, so I think he's in some pretty good standing for this sort of section of the game, and he should be, hopefully, I'm gonna, knock on wood, be ready for this fight against Koga. But only time will tell. So let's see what we've got. Koga's team has 4 bugs. It's not really a poison gym as much as he says it is. It just kind of is a gym. And he's got these little dudes who all can put you to sleep. He also uses X attack for a guy who doesn't use any attack power. It's weird. The downside though is that now I'm trying to use Ice Beam and all of these moves of course are using special. He has gotten 2 negative hits on me and it's just kind of a game over situation for me. So that is unfortunately our first reset of the game. That is a frustrating one. I feel like somehow just because of how fast it was going, I had not recognized immediately that I had lost my special move there. So kind of still going through on Ice Beam and kind of wondering why I'm not really doing that much damage was something. But then also, unfortunately, we're seeing that I don't think we're really ready for this gym. Even though we could beat all the people around him pretty quickly, it's still that situation that he loves so much of keep your enemies closer. All the Pokemon around him, most of them are effective against his team. So even though I'm ready for them, I don't think I'm ready for him. So we are going to have to leave and go do a little bit of training and then come back to this one. And that is unfortunately a little ironic because we make our way to Silph Co. We get some levels, and then we go up against Rival 5 here. And I feel like on paper, this should look pretty good. Jolteon, really their main thing is going to be Thunder Shock, and not a lot of damage is happening to Seel up until this point. Kadabra isn't even all that difficult because, Surf should one-shot it, but also Body Slam would also do the same thing. The biggest concern here is that it is outspeeding us. If we had the badge, potentially we stand a chance. Probably still not good enough, and unfortunately we still face the same problem. We are too slow, and so even with full health, we keep dying to Thunder Shock of all things, usually to a critical hit or something. So I go out and find a few more people with some experience points that I can gather, and it doesn't really add up to much. It mostly just adds up to about a level. So maybe I'll level up again in the middle of the fight at this point, but it's looking like, we're basically a level above where we just were. I'm not 100% positive that this is going to make a huge difference for this little Seel here. But, I guess there's really only one way to find out. So we get that level, we're showing up, and Thunder Shock is still kicking our butt, but luckily this time Body Slam takes it out in 2. We had some really weird luck earlier. We didn't lower any of our attacks or anything like that. We just got some low rolls, I think. and we got some unlucky situations with no paralyzes, everything like that. It's possible we didn't need those extra level, or those extra fights rather, going into that extra level. It's possible I could have maybe gone 1 or 2 more times and still gone through it. I don't know. Either way, we do get that win. We of course defeat Team Rocket, and so then we go up against Giovanni as the last moment of his Rocket run. Obviously, we will see him again for a badge in a little bit, but he is not really a concern. Once you can get past Rival 5, the main thing to me is getting past, I guess, really the next 2 gyms, but they shouldn't be this difficult once you're past level 50, right? Once you're at this level, you should be doing fairly well. And unfortunately, just like the Rival fight, I do think that the correct order of operations in this situation would have been to leave Silph Co and fly to Fuchsia to get that badge to get a speed boost. Would it have made a crazy difference? Probably not. Like, we definitely would have still been outsped by Kadabra and Alakazam, but we could have avoided that accuracy debuff, which is proving to be a little tricky here. Luckily, we have then gotten the Paralyze with Body Slam, but after the Reflect, it's not taking as much damage, so luckily enough for us, 2 Surfs will do the job. It was a little bit of a clunky fight, but we got there, so, you know, we'll take that. We'll take that in the win category. Up next is what we probably should have done first, which is Koga's gym. At this point, being at level 55, we're not exactly 10 levels above where we were the last time we were here, but it's fairly close, right? And now at this point, Surf one-shots all the Venonats, and then it's a 2-hit for the Venomoth. That is a very easy badge. And if you want to see some easy badges, let me tell you, the next 2 gyms are basically just handed to us, right? We're a water Pokemon, and the next 2 gyms are Blaine with fire types, and even though he can be quite difficult, and even though he does get the burn immediately, we're not using attack, we're using special, so it really doesn't make any kind of difference to us, and so we can get through this one easy peasy, no problem at all. Well, maybe a little bit of problem because we did get the burn, but still, it's not enough that it really counts in the long run, right? Then we make our way through the 8th gym. We do a little bit of fighting here just because, again, it's going to be a quick fight. All of them are weak to us. But here at the ground type gym, we, of course, have a major advantage. Surf will one-shot pretty much everything, except for the Persian, of course, because it is a normal type. But Surf is very, very effective. We could also use Aurora Beam or Ice Beam. They're also going to be quite nice, but Surf is going to get that extra boost plus also same type attack bonus. So you just sort of spam Surf and you are scot-free. Then we have, of course, the last rival fight before he becomes the champion. Now, he was pretty difficult the last time we saw him for this Pokemon, since it is just a base Pokemon. You know, we don't have any majorly impressive stats, and we don't have any way of fixing that. So what can he cook up here against a Pokemon that is about 14 or so levels above him, in terms of maybe his final Pokemon only 7 levels. So the gap here is kind of narrowing, which is also not something that you really love to see. The first 3 go down fairly quickly. The Cloyster is a little tricky. I know some people are going to ask me why I'm using Surf instead of Body Slam, but even though it does resist it, you can see the attack power on the left-hand side there. It still is just around the same area as Body Slam, but I also have Special and that same type of attack bonus coming into play there, so it does kind of feel like it's the right move. And then here with Jolteon, we survive with 1 health. I think that the Seel looked at what happened in Silph Co and said, not again. We're not dealing with that. I'm going to get it done this time. And speaking of getting it done, we get done with Victory Road. So then we make our way into Indigo Plateau. We drop off all of our H employees, and then we sit here and we use every single one of our rare candies. Since we don't have any kind of attacks or powers or anything like that that are going to change our stats, so therefore there's not going to be any badge boost glitch manipulation here, we can just go ahead and use all of them right now and just sort of kind of barrel through. Might as well just go in at full maximum strength from the get-go. You never know what it can do for you. Up first, we have Lorelei here at level 76, and you know, we're not really well equipped for her. It's kind of reminiscent in a way of the Misty fight, where we don't really have anything that's great against her, but she doesn't really have anything that's great against us either. So it's just kind of a slugfest of who can really do the most amount of damage in the shortest amount of time. And we're getting pretty lucky because there's a lot of throwing here. She doesn't always use the best possible move just because the AI is kind of, I don't know, a little wishy-washy on what it probably has as the most amount of damage. I'm not really 100% positive on how all of those interactions work, but we do make it through. I do think Lapras actually could have done some more damage there. Again, it's just about how the AI chooses its moves there, and we get a little bit lucky. I think there's a little bit of a surge genome kind of going on in that fight, and just a little capacity. Then for Bruno, Bruno is fighting types, which are not great for the special, so of course Surf will do a crazy amount of damage, and then Onyx, also not great with special, but also of course very weak to water. So Bruno is Bruno, again, kind of having that surge effect once again. Up next, you have Agatha. And let me tell you how foolish, I suppose you could say, I am. I healed up before this fight, and I made a classic blunder. I did not save before this fight. So if I lose, I do have to go back to do Bruno. That isn't necessarily a problem. Again, you just saw how easy Bruno is, but Agatha can be quite difficult. And just like the Lorelei fight, they're not really super effective against me. I'm not super effective against them. I am paralyzed though, and if this Arbok just decides to wrap, we're done. Luckily, we do get the Surf off, and that is no longer a threat. Unfortunately, Psychic could have been, but we hung on with 4 HP. Very reminiscent of the Rival fight. Oh, that is a close call. We heal up, and then we save, this time being smart about it. And then we go up against Lance. This should be quite simple. Gyarados we're not really great against, but if you can take him down, take him out, then we should be able to just sweep everything with an Ice Beam. And here goes the run. I'll let you watch without commentary. Isn't that just beautiful? You love to see it. I love watching that kind of thing every single time. Every time I get to this kind of moment and I've got Ice Beam, just feels wonderful. Then finally we have the champion. Now, he has proven to be quite difficult on the last few runs, but I'm also a considerable amount of levels above where I was last time. So what can we get going? Luckily, the Sand Slash goes down quickly. Alakazam kind of throws with its move selection, and we do get Leech Seeded, but that's really the only move that Exeggutor has that can really do all that much to Seel. So now that we are seeded, we are giving a little bit of health back to Cloyster, but I think that's actually beneficial because it doesn't proc a potion. Then we come back to the Ninetales. Ninetales goes down easy, and here could be a problem. We get paralyzed, but it misses with Thunder, and so 2 hit on Surf, and we are in the clear. We were very slow, then we started to speed up, and then we had a major step back. It honestly kind of feels like being in traffic sometimes where you're very slow, then all of a sudden, oh, it's clear, and then it's back to being a standstill, and you're kind of nervous about what that means for your timing. But here you can see that Seel ends up with a 2 hour, 6 minutes, 56 second time, which isn't necessarily amazing, but considering what it has going for it, I would argue maybe not necessarily terrible, at least not for a first run. I am thinking that this is going to be a Pokemon that we come back to again. I'm curious to see what we can do to maybe cut that down a little bit. I actually have no idea right now off the top of my head like I usually do, so we're going to have to really hit the drawing board on that one. But thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you've made it this far and you're not already subscribed, please consider giving a subscription. I'm trying to hit 500 subscribers on this channel here. That's a big push that I'm working on right now. And of course, give a like, comment, share. Anything that you do on content for smaller content creators really helps us all out a lot, so I really appreciate it. Also, of course, now that my birthday is over and the subathon is over, I am back to my regularly scheduled content. This is a little bit late just because I'm kind of still in catch-up mode after all of that, but we'll be back to our regularly scheduled programming here on this channel pretty much immediately after this video is out. So thank you for your patience, and also thank you for the birthday messages earlier. I really appreciate those as well. Be kind to yourself, be excellent to one another, and I will see you all next week for another solo challenge in Pokemon Yellow.